And our next speaker is Kevin Purcell. He is the sales transformation leader, it's a long word, for HP. And he is going to present you with amazing ideas on how to build and maintain a winning sales team. And by the way, HP has what, about 3,000 salespeople?
Let's see, we're up to about 4,500 in my organization.
4,500.
Yeah,
and is it magic?
It's not magic, but I did want to let Chris know that I asked for hair for my incentive, but it didn't work. But yeah, no, it's not magic. I mean, it's a formula that I'll talk about, Gerhard, about what I've used. So
give him a big hand. Welcome, Kevin Purcell.
So, excuse me, so I'm very excited about being here in Boston. Boston is one of my favorite towns. You know, you have the duck boats, right? You have the Charles River. Congratulations to you Bruin fans. Very good. Yeah, give yourself a cheer. A little bit about me. I'm actually from Jersey. So we have Snooki, right? We got the situation. But all kidding aside, it's great that you guys are having a conference in Boston. It's a great town, and I'm really happy to be here. So Gerhard asked me to talk about sales performance and really how to build and maintain a sales organization. A little bit about me and my background. I've actually been in the industry for about 27 years now. Actually used to sell for big software companies like Oracle. I was at Sybase for a while, Informix, and was actually I was a partner at Bearing Point. So my background is very solutions oriented. When I came to Hewlett Packard about 4.5–5 years ago, they asked me to run some of their sales organizations in the US, and then over the last year or so, they've asked me to actually help transform their sales organization to an organization that is more of a high velocity organization. And I think you're hearing a lot about really some really great best practices, some of the tools that you can use to really help you get there. So my hope today is to kind of share with you some of the experiences that I've had and some of the resources, some of the people that, and I'll provide their information if you're interested in contacting them directly. They've been great. Wherever I go, I call upon them to help me really engage with the sales organization and help me drive a transformation to really where the company wants to go. So without further ado, let me get started. So to me, this is, and I don't want, as Gerhard said, a magic formula. It's really a formula that I've actually used over my career in sales. Each one of those components up there I'll talk about briefly, but if you have a chance, I believe you have the presentation at the end. You'll have a paper copy or a PDF format you could use, you know, at your mercy, and a lot of the information here I'm happy to expand on at whatever point. So the first component is hiring. Talent management is absolutely critical to bring in the right people into your organization. When I say that, and I think Chris was talking a little bit about it before, if you look at the folks that you're bringing into your sales organization, they all have inherent human behaviors. Right. You know, they have certain personalities, certain traits that you can actually match to the roles that you're trying to hire to. So I brought in an organization here at HP called Predictive Success. They're based in Canada. They do have an office here in the Boston area. Their contact information is actually on the PDF, so you'll be able to see that at the bottom of the screen. But I would recommend somebody like this to help identify, if you're in the midst of trying to bring in the right talent. They have an assessment that really has helped me identify who are the right people for the right roles. What's critical is to retain those people. So I think this is an opportunity for sales professionals, sales management to really not only bring in the right people, but to match them up to the right roles so that they actually stay on board for a longer period of time. And ultimately, you want to develop those people. So I think this is a great opportunity to take advantage. It's an assessment that you utilize in the recruiting process. It's typically 20 to 25 questions, and it's really helped me over my career. The next component is onboarding. You know, besides the work that we're doing at HP, I've done this in previous companies. I've always solicited feedback from the sales force. You identify your top performers and you ask them, tell me about your 30, 60, 90-day plan. When you came on board, what were the things that were most important for you to ramp up and to be most productive in a shorter period of time? So it's absolutely critical to identify 30, 60, 90-day plans by role. Certain territory reps and field reps that are maybe calling on specific named accounts may have different 30, 60, 90-day plans than a inside sales rep. So it's critical, I think, to identify the right roles with the right plans. The other thing that we do at HP, and I've done in other companies, is to create a buddy system. You know, working for a company that has over 320,000 employees, you can imagine the complexity and the ability to get lost in an organization that size. But even if you're working for a small company, medium-sized company, you really want to identify certain individuals that can actually handhold those new hires and walk them through the process. It's ideal to find somebody that has actually done the role before. So if you're hiring a named account manager to call on a Fortune 100 customer, make sure that individual has done that before. If you're bringing in a sales manager, make sure a sales manager type person is available to actually become a buddy. And it's not a mentor or mentee, it's somebody that can walk the new hire through the organization and get them through you know, some of the obstacles and challenges that face you when you join a company. I think you'll find that the productivity timeline will be shortened by doing that. The other thing that we've done in the past is create companion guides that they actually provide you the ability to get up to speed quickly with regards to your sales systems, your ordering systems, getting your PC on day 1, day 2. A lot of that information at HP we've included in a companion guide. So I think that's critical when you're starting a sales organization and you're bringing in new hires. So that is absolutely critical. The last and final point I'll make on the onboarding process is make sure you have onboarding training. At HP, we have 3 components of training, and then we do an exam, and that is completed within a 30-day period. So the first component is knowing your company. You may sell for a small organization within the company, but you need to understand, what does the company you work for actually do? How did they get started? What is the history of the organization? The next component that we've offered over the last year or so at HP is knowing your role. You know, who is your customer? You know, what industry are you selling into? Are you selling into the financial services industry? Are you selling into banking? Are you selling into hospitals and healthcare? And then identify what are the products and solutions that best fit those business problems for those industries. So it's absolutely critical that you identify who that person's going to be selling into and who's your customer. And then lastly, what's your role? You know, what is your comp plan look like? What do you get credit for when you sell something? You know, what is the sales methodology that we use in the organization? So all of that information is in our 3rd component of the training, and then at the end of that training, we actually require our folks to actually take an exam. And it's an exam that really dives into specifics for each of those 3 components. If you fail, you must take it again until you pass. It's absolutely critical that you understand that information before you can actually become productive. So I would encourage everybody to implement a very strong plan in terms of training for new hires, because obviously that's the biggest investment you're going to make in any employee once they join an organization. In the spirit of sharing information about folks that have actually helped me in the past, there's a gentleman by the name of Barry Ryan. Barry is somebody I met back when I was at Oracle, and he is somebody that I think has helped a great deal in terms of developing my salespeople. He's based out of California. His whole concept of open-ended questioning is really paid off. You know, when I look at the folks that have been through his training, I've seen a big differentiation between their performance and others that haven't. You know, instead of having a discussion with a customer around getting an order and saying, oh, when should I expect that order, versus walk me through the procurement process of getting that order. There's a big difference between those two questions. And you can have the best products in the world, but if you don't have the information and your competition does, you will not win the deal. So it's critical that you teach your new hires and the folks that work in your sales organization the right behaviors. And I'll get into that in a second, but it's not enough to make the numbers. It's really how do you go about it to make those numbers. So measuring. It's interesting because what I'm about to tell you, you might snicker, but we put together a list of measurements at HP in the Enterprise Servers and Storage Networking organization. And for those of you that aren't familiar with HP, we sell a lot of stuff, right? I mean, we sell printers and PCs. The organization that I'm referring to that I work for is an organization that sells not only to small, medium business, but on up to the biggest companies in the world. And we sell servers, we sell networking, we sell storage, and each one of these customers have specific needs and requirements. So one of the things that we're really trying to raise the bar as it relates to the organization is not only making the numbers, but also the right behaviors. So we developed I think it was 85 metrics, which we actually have our folks go through at the, and this is a 6-month timeline that we have our managers or direct managers sit down with the individual contributors and go through each one of those 85 metrics. And I know that most people's first reaction is, that's crazy, it's too much, but it actually gets people thinking, what is the expectation of, you know, the behaviors that we're expecting for the company that they're working for. It's not just about the numbers, because if you're just making the numbers, you'll never get to the next growth line that you're looking for and really transforming the organization. And oh, by the way, the measurements are not just for my specific organization, it's for the company. What is the company expecting from me and my organization? Motivating. Chris, I got a glimpse of his presentation earlier. You know, how do you motivate people? One of the things that I implemented at HP, and I've done this in the past, is a field advisory board. You want buy-in and feedback from your organization. You know, you don't want to be, okay, this is how it is, and either you do it or you don't. You want to get feedback. You want people in the organization, especially your top performers, to provide information that is helpful in making the right decisions as you transform the group. So what we did was we selected 20 individuals across the organization, and if you're talking about 4,500 salespeople, you can imagine these are the upper echelon of the organization as it relates